Money does not disappear during an economic collapse. It moves. That's the first uncomfortable truth people miss. When headlines scream crisis and accounts bleed red, wealth isn't being destroyed evenly. It's being redistributed. Quietly, ruthlessly. While most people focus on what they're losing, a small number of assets are doing something very different. They're holding value, sometimes even gaining it. Not because they're magical, not because they're immune to fear, but because of how the system is built. Every collapse in history leaves behind the same question, asked too late by too many people. Where did the money go? This matters now because the idea that everything crashes together is comforting but false. It lets people believe collapse is random, unavoidable, and equally painful for everyone. It isn't. Economic collapses are selective. They punish certain behaviors and quietly reward others. And the rewards don't look dramatic in the moment. They look boring, stable, almost invisible, till years later when the gap becomes impossible to ignore. To understand why only a few assets survive collapse, you have to understand what collapse actually means. Economy doesn't collapse because people wake up one morning and stop believing. It collapses because obligations exceed capacity. Debt piles up faster than income. Promises outnumber resources. At some point, something has to give. Governments print. Central banks intervene. Interest rates move. Markets reprice. This isn't chaos. It's adjustment under stress. When that happens, anything dependent on confidence, leverage, or constant growth is exposed. Assets that rely on future promises struggle. Assets tied to real utility, scarcity, or enforced demand behave differently. The system doesn't ask what you believe in. It asks what can't be ignored. The first asset that consistently holds value during collapse is productive land. Not land as a speculation. It's not flipping plots or betting on zoning changes. Productive land. Land that feeds people, houses people, or supports essential activity. During collapse, financial assets are repriced based on fear. Land is repriced based on necessity. People may stop investing, but they don't stop eating. They don't stop needing shelter. That demand doesn't disappear. It concentrates. Historically, farmland, basic residential property in functional areas, utility-linked land hold value because they sit underneath everything else. During the Great Depression, U.S. farmland prices fell sharply at first, but productive land recovered faster than paper assets and continued generating income even when markets were frozen. In hyperinflationary episodes like Weimar Germany or Zimbabwe, land didn't protect purchasing power perfectly, but it preserved relative value compared to cash, bonds, or wages. The reason is simple. Land doesn't promise returns, it provides function, and during collapse, function beats narrative. The second asset is commodities with unavoidable demand. Not all commodities, not speculative futures or exotic materials. Basic system-critical inputs, energy, food staples, industrial metals tied to infrastructure. During economic collapse, consumption patterns change, but they don't vanish. People may stop buying luxuries, but they don't stop heating homes or transporting goods. When currencies weaken, commodities priced globally often rise in local terms. That's not because they're winning. It's because money is losing. In the 1970s stagflation period, equities struggled, bonds were crushed. But commodities like oil and gold surged because inflation repriced everything around them. The uncomfortable math here is that commodities don't need growth to perform. They just need scarcity plus demand. Collapse doesn't remove either. In many cases, it intensifies both. The third asset is ownership stakes in businesses that control pricing power. Not growth stocks. It's not hype-driven tech. Businesses that sell necessities or control bottlenecks. Utilities, infrastructure operators, essential service providers. During collapse, companies without pricing power absorb the pain. Costs rise, revenues lag, margins vanish. But companies that can pass costs on to consumers survive. Sometimes they even strengthen their position as weaker competitors fail. During the 2008 crisis, many banks collapsed. But utilities and consumer staples recovered faster because demand didn't disappear. During inflationary collapses, businesses that adjust prices dynamically protect cash flows better than fixed-income instruments. The system rewards those who can adapt prices faster than money devalues. Now comes the part people don't like to hear. What goes to zero isn't random, it's predictable. Highly leveraged assets tied to future growth assumptions. Fixed income promises paid in weakening currency. Businesses that rely on cheap credit to survive. During collapse, leverage turns from advantage to trap. Debt doesn't adjust downward when income does. Interest doesn't care about sentiment. This is why savings, bonds, and wage-based strategies consistently fail in collapse scenarios. They're rigid in a system that becomes violently flexible. The public narrative during collapse focuses on fairness. Who deserves help? Who caused the problem? Who should pay? The underlying reality is mechanical. Assets that align with system stress survive. Assets that resist it break. That's not ideology. It's physics. No, the system doesn't reward virtue. It rewards positioning. This creates the illusion that some people are lucky while others are reckless. In reality, they're just exposed to different incentives. Over time, this reshapes societies. Those holding surviving assets gain influence. Those holding promises lose it. Wealth consolidates not because of conspiracy, but because collapse accelerates trends already in motion. Ownership matters more than income. Control matters more than effort. Liquidity matters more than loyalty. This is why economic collapses don't reset inequality. They reorder it. The uncomfortable conclusion isn't that collapse can be avoided. It's that collapse is a filter. A brutal one. It strips away stories and leaves structure behind. The question isn't which asset is safest in theory. It's which asset the system is forced to protect when stress arrives. And the final question is harder. If the system keeps collapsing in cycles and the same assets keep surviving, is the real risk collapse itself or continuing to prepare for a world that no longer exists?